sheer drama at Lord's as England wins an epic World Cup final. Pharmacists will soon have a new registration system. And the Barbados Legion is asking for more public support.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
This segment of Weekend Newsnight, brought to you by Sagicor, wise financial thinking for life.
Thousands in Trafalgar Square, a capacity crowd at Lord's, all waiting for this special moment to run out of the last ball of a super over delivered by Barbadian Jofra Archer, as England laid claim to the World Cup, a trophy coveted by them since 1975. What an astonishing and riveting game. Tie totals in both the 50-over match and the super over. They overcame New Zealand by dint of scoring more boundaries in the super over. A very good evening to you on this wet Sunday, 14th of July. I'm Ryan Broom. Sean Green will have all the details and highlights in that in a bit later in the news, but we start with our top story. Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic says a new system of registration for pharmacists and pharmacies is coming. He has expressed concern about the length of time the registration process is taking, adding that he issued instructions within his ministry over the past week to shift things into a new gear. The minister made the remarks as he delivered the opening address as part of the Barbados Pharmaceutical Society's Pharmacy Week 2019 activities.
The length of time that it takes for things to be approved from the Pharmacy Council to the minister and back is unacceptable. And going forward, we're going to have a new system where the registrations are stamped and sent back, because it is highly unlikely that as Minister of Health, I would overturn a decision made by the Council, because the Council is there to advise me. So we need to do something about the length of time.
Now, the minister adds that it is time for a meeting of all the various arms of the local pharmaceutical sector to convene a joint annual meeting to look at the issues facing the sector in a more holistic way.
I say that because the formulary committee, that's the committee that determines what goes on the drug formulary. You do the dispensing. We have doctors who do the prescribing, and yet we are not in a situation where everybody can come together so that we can get a better understanding and a better handling of what we're doing. And this is something that we must do going forward.
In other news, there's been a call for more public support of Barbados Legion's yearly Poppy Appeal. The plea from Barbados Legion Council Chairman Lieutenant Colonel Ver Owen Springer came during their annual service at St. Matthias Anglican Church. He says presently the organization has to depend on government to assist in some aspects.
With the funds collected from the Poppy donations diminishing each year, the Barbados government has had to provide the Legion with an annual subvention in order that we could carry out our program. The Barbados government has also made arrangements where major repairs to houses of indigent legions can be accommodated.
Now at present, 23 veterans or wives of veterans receive a monthly allowance from the funds collected in the Poppy Appeal. Lieutenant Colonel Springer says, aside from financial assistance, they also provide social support to members.
We try to entertain and have frequent events for the Legionnaires, where there's comradeship and a friendly face to chat with and to reminisce. There will always be a need for a body like the Barbados Legion to assist in bringing comfort to our fine men and women who in their youth put country first, to serve or to be ready to serve, to bring peace to this troubled world.
The Rotary Club of Barbados West has elected its first female president. The announcement was made on Saturday night during an installation and award ceremony as Jean St. John took over the presidency from immediate past President Morton Holder. The new president says one of her major projects will be to host a Caribbean conference on Parkinson's disease awareness.
Working along with the board of members of the Barbados Parkinson's Trust and Support Group. With my husband's permission, to those of you who are unaware, Andrew was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 15 years ago. I subsequently found out that an association was never established, and in doing some research with the members of the newly formed Parkinson's Support Group, discovered no information was available here, and indeed throughout most of the Caribbean, even though we do have a significant number of persons diagnosed with the condition.
Well, the Barbados Agricultural Society believes pre-deal larceny in Barbados is more organized than previously thought. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says it involves willing buyers. Given this situation, he says enforcement of the law is key in the fight. Mr. Paul says there are too many instances where farmers complain that the perpetrators are known people. Another problem for agricultural officials is the attitude of Barbadians to pre-deal larceny.
Of us think that it is okay for people to just go on people's property and take up a lime or raid a lime tree or raid a pawpaw tree or raid whatever without thinking that they are stealing. And this even applies, for instance, to the cane farmer. We have a situation where we see people selling canes on the highway, and we do not even sometimes, or there's no one to go and check to see what is the source of these canes. So all of these things come into play in terms of the facilitation of those persons who engage in pre-deal larceny.
Meanwhile, with Barbados warming up to the use of drone technology in the fight against pre-deal larceny, Mr. Paul doesn't believe it's a perfect solution.
Even, and again, if there is no change in the law to also ensure that the question of using photographic evidence in the court in order to get a conviction, that is something, for instance, has been a bugbear of the agricultural sector, because many times you may have, say, photographic evidence, but it seems for one reason or the other, it is not permissible in the court to be used as evidence. I do not understand why, I don't know, but all of these things are issues that need to be addressed. And that the farmer will have some kind of concern for. The other thing is too that we must remember, in the same way those persons who have good intentions might be using the drones, there might be persons who have bad intentions who might also be using the same drones.
Showers of rain today could not stop patrons looking to get a taste of sweet steel pan music at this evening's Pan Pandasan event. Armed with umbrellas and their trusty chairs and coolers, they turned out at Brandon's Beach for the free event, billed as one of the biggest beach parties for Cropover 2019. Performers for the event include cultural ambassadors, the Mighty Gabby and Red Plastic Bag, and the Silver Star Steel Orchestra, and Len Boogsy Sharp from Trinidad. And well, you can continue to watch Pan Pandasan on MCTV's Channel 118. To news from the region now, the opposition leader in Guyana is elated that the CCJ has given the government a caretaker status. We get more in this HGP-TV report from Handel Duncan.
Just over an hour after the CCJ delivered the consequential declarations and orders, the leader of the opposition, Bar Jagdeo, hurriedly called a press briefing, where he described the declarations as very forceful. Jagdeo said, if it is one thing that the entire Guyana should be proud of, it should be that the CCJ has categorized the government as a caretaker government.
Else matters. That alone was great for me. If they had only said that and nothing else in the ruling, then that would have been a major victory for me, for the People's Progressive Party, and for all of Guyana. This caretaker status.
The government now, according to Jagdeo, has been stripped of all the authority that is not consistent with a caretaker status.
So you can't let go a cabinet, you can't originate new bills, you can't do what the minister is doing, preparing for budget now. All of these things are ridiculous. We knew they were ridiculous, now they've been shut down.
If the government drags out the process in the lead up to elections, including the appointment of a GCOM chair for Jagdeo, that will not change the status of the government.